राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Labhe Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swam Prabhupada ki Namacharya Lahara Thakur ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki Shri Shadi Giridhari Bhagwan ki Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki Shri Giraj Maharaj ki Shri Gaur Nitai ki Granth Rashno Bhagavatam ki Yug Dharma Nam Sam. All glorious multiple, all glorious, all glorious assembled devotees. All right, so we will continue reading from Sri Prabhupada Hiranyagarbha. This is a topic on a lot of ground to be covered. ISKCON's Mumbai headquarters was a 4-room flat on the 7th floor of the Akashikanka building. Rent was nearly 3,000 rupees a month, and the devotees had no guaranteed monthly income. Yet because of the building was a vital, prestigious location, Prabhupada had taken the risk. Such a headquarters would be necessary base for the preaching he wanted to do in Mumbai. And his next preaching would be a grand 11-day Pandal program. If you're going to hunt, Prabhupada said, then you should hunt for rhinoceros. In that way, if you don't succeed, everyone will simply say, oh, it could have been done anyway. It couldn't be done anyway. But if you do succeed, then everyone will be surprised. Everyone will be amazed. As Prabhupada revealed his plans for a gigantic Pandal festival, the devotees became keenly aware that Prabhupada's inspiration was motivating all the preaching. Without him, they could never attempt anything so bold and ambitious as a giant Pandal festival in Mumbai. Even the American and the European disciples had been built along with him as if of equal importance. But devotees saw themselves as the only foolish servants trying to help the genuine pure devotee of the Lord. Although Prabhupada credited his disciples knew that Prabhupada was Krishna's empowered representative. He was the authority and personal link to Krishna. His words and actions evinced full transcendental potency. As Krishna was unlimited, So Prabhupada, Krishna's dearmost friend, was entitled to demand unlimited service on Krishna's behalf. In the service of Krishna, no project was impossible. Impossible, Prabhupada said, was a word in a fool's dictionary. But as Prabhupada unfolded his plans for the Pandal festival, the devotees doubted. How could they ever raise the money? How could they erect a huge tent? Where would they get so much food? And who would cook it? Prabhupada seemed amused at their doubts. You're all Americans, he said. So what is the use of being American unless you do something wonderful? A Bombay Pandal, Prabhupada said, would be the perfect way to link American ingenuity with India's spirituality. He gave the example of a blind man and a lame man. Although separately they are helpless, by cooperating, the blind man carrying the lame man on his shoulders and the lame man giving directions, the two can work successfully. America became, because of materialism and ignorance of God, was blind. And India, because of foreign invasions, poverty, and misinterpretations of Vedic knowledge, was lame. America had technological advancements and wealth, and India had spiritual knowledge. The job of the Krishna conscious movement was to combine the two strengths and uplift the world, and one practical application would be the Bombay Pandal Festival. Very nice Prabhupada instructions, actually. Now, Rhinos is quite a good example as well. Whatever you do big. And if you succeed, people glorify. If you don't, people still say you tried. All right, we'll move on to Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, verse 26. This is the last verse for this chapter. It's a very, it's not in the normal meter that's written, so I won't kind of I didn't put it up on the board. I'll read it anyway. Rajo vacha yohava iha bahuvida maha bhagavata tvayibhit hitaha prokshena vachasa jiva loka bhavadhava sahyarya manishaya kalpita vishayo nanjas savyupanna lokas samadhi gamaha athat etad atatadetai durvagamam samadvetan nirdeshyatamiti. We'll go into the word for word translation instead. Raja Uvacha. King Parikshit said, Yah, which, ha, certainly, va, or, iha, in this narration, bahuvida, who are aware of the many incidents of transcendental knowledge. Mahabhagavata, O great devotee sage, Tvaya, by you, Abhihitaha, described, Parokshena, figuratively, Vachasa, by words. Jivaloka Bhava Adva, the path of material existence of the conditioned soul. Saha, that he, indeed, Arya, Manishaya, by the intelligence of advanced devotees. Kalpita Vishayaha, the subject matter is imagined. Na, not. Anjasa, directly. Avyutpannaloka, of persons who are not very experienced or intelligent. Samadhigamaha, the complete understanding. Atha, therefore. Tadeva, because of that. Etat, this matter. Duravagamam, which is difficult to understand. Samaveta anukalpena, by substituting the direct meaning of such incidences. Nirdishyatam, let it be described. Iti, thus. Translation by His Divine Prabhupada. King Parikshit then told Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you're omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul, who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent man can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily conception are like rogues and thieves in that forest, and that one's wife and children are like jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story, because it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request Your Holiness to give the direct meaning. There are many stories and incidences in Srimad Bhagavatam that are described figuratively. Such allegorical descriptions may not be understood by an unintelligent man. Therefore, it is a duty of the student to approach a bona fide spiritual master for the direct explanations. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 5th canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Further Talks with the King Rahugana and Parapara. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamasyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guru Shriyutpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we've been having, on this chapter, we've been hearing the discussion between Jarabharat and Rahugana. Previous chapters we've heard about how King Bharat went to the forest, he got attached to this deer, and then eventually he left his body and became a deer. Because he had higher consciousness, when he got into the deer body of the deer, he understood what he had, what he was supposed to do, and after that, he basically got back in the body of a human being. And this time his name Jarabharat. So as Jarabharat, he was basically uh, acting like it's dumb, stupid. It's like he was not responding to anything, anyone. And his parents were trying to teach him. His dad was trying to teach him to do an archman, and he would not understand, show that he's doing or he's learning anything. His brother was trying to do him. It's like all of them were kind of ill-treating him, and he was not responding to anyone, despite being of higher consciousness. He was very self-realized soul. And however, but when this time when he was actually taken as a person who was supposed to carry Rahugana's falcon, he was such a realized soul that he was trying to avoid stepping on the ants, and he was such because to avoid that he was kind of moving to and fro, and as such the king got really upset in it. And this time he spoke to the king and gave him instructions. Question may arise is, how come his father, when he was teaching his father, father was teaching him things, his brother was dealing with him different things, he did not respect, or he didn't respond to them, he didn't give that instruction to them. Why did he give the instruction to King Rahugana? And the answer is basically that because they were not receptive, they were not qualified enough to understand. Whereas the king was already of higher consciousness. So when Jarabharat was talking to him, he could understand. In the same way, right? If you are speaking to someone of a higher topic, to someone who doesn't know anything about it, the person's not going to be able to understand, isn't it? You want to talk to someone in a layman's term, or if you're talking to someone, trying to preach to someone, you want to use words or analogies or whatever that the person can understand. Just like, for example, if you're in a primary school or kindergarten and you're trying to teach that person mathematics that's taught in higher schools, or universities, you're not going to be able to understand. You've got to talk to them basics like 1 + 1 = 2. So in the same way, because when Jarabharat was speaking, the king was receptive, and he found a recipient who he could give instructions. But in here, we hear that Parikshit Maharaj is actually requesting Sukadeva Goswami to elaborate more, because all the examples, allegories that's been given is good, but it's good for people who are intelligent, but not for people who are not intelligent, who have less intelligence, who will have difficulty understanding. I'll give it examples like, the body is compared to a merchant in the forest. And these instructions, the intelligent man can understand that the senses of a person in the body are like rogues and thieves. And of course, the family members, wife and children, are like jackals and other ferocious animals. So basically, just like if you get, just like an employer, a merchant. A merchant is entering a forest, and the forest has got lots of thieves. It's got all sorts of creatures in there as well, and who are ready to steal or attack the merchant. The merchant has worked so hard, and we also heard about how from Maharaja Bharat was explaining about the Pavarga. Pa means parishram. You work so hard as a human being. You work so hard, and then we become tired, and then we sleep, and then while sleeping we get pena from our mouth. So pa, ha, ba, bha, and ma. Pa means parishram, which means hard labor, effort. Putting all the effort to work hard and attain everything. And then fur means after by hard work you actually get. Sometimes you get so tired, like frustrated, or exhausted that you start having pena coming out of your mouth, which is like if you have someone's got leprosy, or no, not leprosy. What is it called? When someone starts having froth, what is it called? It's coming out of the mouth. That's a foams, yeah, some sort of foams coming out. So that's basically when you have some sort of disease or some sort of sickness, then you start having them coming out. I don't remember the name anyway. Then, so the merchant works hard, all his life, and then he also, in working hard, he also tries to enjoy, get into sense gratification, and that's we all do that, right? In one way or the other, we engage our senses in gratifying and to enjoying everything that we acquired. And then comes the wife and the children. The wife says, you work hard. The wife says, give me this, give me that, give me this. And he has got unending demands of the wife, right? Then you have the children. The children say, Dad, 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 I want this. Can you give me this? Then, okay, right. The dad gives the child maybe some sort of toy. And then after some time, the child gets had enough of the toy. And he says, I need another toy. So those demands are never ending. I'm sure those who are married, they can relate to this. There will be some challenges and demands from your partner. I want this, I want that. Can you give me this? So the brahmachari is just much safer and happier. Nothing to worry about. But then you have. So we all work hard. We all work hard, and working hard to get money and everything, we sometimes end up engaging our senses and gratifying our senses. And then we have family members, we have brothers and sisters, we start thinking about them. And then after hard work, when we don't get satisfaction from them, and when we have difficulties in our business or whatever we have having, and we have lost all our money, then we think, okay, I'm going to probably go to my friend. Maybe my friend can help me. And in fact, in Sanskrit, there are three friends, three rubber friends. One is Mitra, Sakha, and Suhrida. Mitra is someone who is basically, will be a friend only when it's in need. If you have your pocket full, then only that person will be your friend. If you are of some good need, if you are of some use, the friend will be there for you. For example, if you're wealthy, your friends will be there because they know you got money. They'll be able to get something out of you. But if you have no money, they're going to desert you. So if the merchant, for example, has lost all the money or is struggling with money and goes to a friend to ask for money, instead the friend will say, or the mitra will say, you know what? You should actually go and seek an astrologer. Maybe you might have some sort of dosha that you need to get rectified, and probably that might help you overcome your challenges. At the moment, you might have to do this puja, that puja, that will get you out of this difficult situation. So instead of the friend or the mitra helping him by giving him some money, he will never give you. He will basically just try to guide you. Okay? because he doesn't care. The friend is only there until you have some use. Then you have the Sakha. Sakha is there as basically someone who you've kind of grown up with, of the same wavelength, and who actually has some sort of, it's kind of a well-wisher, but the actual well-wisher is a Suhrida. Suhrida, and of course Krishna is everyone's well-wisher, is actual Suhrida. The Suhrida will never want you to see in any sort of difficulty, will always want you to get out of it. How can I help you avoid even going through difficulties in the first place? And so, for example, the merchant might go to a sadhu because the friend has directed him to go to sadhu and seek direction. What can I do? And of course, you know how there's so many sort of so-called sadhus these days, particularly in India. You'll find sadhus in con men actually in the garb of sadhus these days as well. Those who've been to Kumbh Mela, they might have noticed or experienced and seen that there were people who had come in Kumbh Mela, but they were in the garb of sadhus, but they were not sadhus. They were just normal karmis, or even some of them were sort of somewhat outside of Hindu religion. They came in the garb of sadhus, and because by putting on the dress, you get donations. And they came there for that purpose of donations. So you've got to be very careful now. We're very fortunate. We've taken shelter of Prabhupada, and under his direction, we are kind of safe. We are very safe. Okay? Whereas someone who doesn't have any direction in life, who doesn't know where to go to, then they can very easily get astray. And some people will try to rip you off. You have sadhus who actually take money from you and give you some sort of knowledge. Like for example, we've seen in Fiji, I remember some sadhus come from India, and they used to say, okay, right, after 7 days of katha, I'll give you diksha. And you would get Samuha diksha, which means everyone gets mantra. You will give it on the mic, speak out the mantra on the mic, and everyone will get initiated. And he doesn't even care whether you give up meat eating or give up all sorts of nonsense. He doesn't care. And then eventually, those people come and give a dakshina. The ulterior motive was just more to make money and get donations, so that whenever I come, now there's someone is my disciple, and whenever I come, that person will give me donations, take me around and look after me and so forth. But the relationship should not always be dependent on that. If a real sadhu is genuine about someone, then he will not be taking just money, but rather seeing how can I help this person become God conscious? How can I get this person give up sinful activities? So, say for example, this merchant, he went to sadhu, he got something, he told him to do certain puja, he did the puja, now his life is all good. He's getting money again, he's enjoying life again. So now he's back to sense gratification again. Now he may realize, okay, my wife is fat and old. I probably need to enjoy further. So he might just end up going and associate with some sort of prostitute and just having some sort of extramarital affair just to enjoy, because now he's all set. He was having difficulty, everything's sorted, he's happy now, business money is coming in, but now he's got a problem that I'm not getting satisfaction from my wife. I'll go up and vice versa, man or woman, and then go and look for someone to satisfy, and then this person, this prostitute or whoever it is, will just be taking money instead of giving some sort of pleasure, and then by all these things, merchant ultimately realizes that actually, by the time he realizes it's time to die, the mrityu is there, but it's too late. So we are all in this similar situation. We go through phases in life where things are hunky-dory for us. then we sometimes we forget, and we and this is I'm talking about more than non-devotees. Devotees, we always Krishna conscious, we are always chanting. The non-devotees are, when things are all good for them, then the life is back on track, doing back same nonsense activities, and they did realize, they forget that whatever difficulty situation they were in, whatever the lesson they had learned, is of no importance to them. So in this case here, the parents, sorry, the wives and the children are considered to be like thieves. Actually, the jackals and other ferocious animals. In this case here, King Kulashekara in his Mukundamala Stotra, which has a similar analogy here. Mukundamala Stotra, verse 13. Trishna madana pavanodbhutad mohormi male dharavarte dainaya sahaja graha sangha kulecha samsarakhe mahati jaladhau majjantam nastridhamam padam bhoye varada bhavato bhakti navam prayacha. King Kulashekara, one of the Alvars, he says, O Lord of the three worlds, we are drowning in the vast ocean of samsara, which is filled with the waters of material hankering, with many waves of illusion whipped up by the winds of lust, and whirlpools of wives, and with vast schools of sharks and other sea monsters, who are our sons and brothers. O giver of all benedictions, please grant me a place on the boat of devotion, that is your lotus feet. So in here, Kulashekara basically says that the Lord's lotus feet is like the boat. And if we jump out of the boat into the water, water is cold, lots of waves in there, and there's all sorts of ferocious creatures like the sharks, and those creatures are there ready to take us, to eat us, So he's basically saying, my only desire is to take shelter of your lotus feet, which is like the boat of devotion. And that is what we should be hankering for, And we can see how people are suffering these days, Devoid from Krishna, devotion of Krishna, everyone's suffering. Everyone is actually suffering, one way or the other, So we must take shelter, and the best way to take shelter is by being in the shelter of the spiritual master, and being in the association of the devotees. The devotees are there to help us, guide us, and the spiritual master teaches us the esoteric meanings of the Vedic scriptures, which are sometimes difficult for us to understand. The spiritual master takes a deep dive into the scriptures and gives us the actual meaning. Basically, gives out the churned like a cream, And this is what the essence is. So shelter of the Lord is very important, and in this case, it's a very nice story that comes to mind. That there was a man who was herding goats in a village. A whole bunch of goats were there. They were all in the same going with the man. However, in the end, one of them got astray because that goat was a little slow and had pains in the limb, so was finding difficulty to catch up. So basically, got way behind, and as a result, by the time at some point, basically thought that didn't know where to go. So ended up going to a forest, which is dense forest, with lots of ferocious creatures in there. Now, being tired, exhausted, with bodily pain, everything, the goat was fearful at the same time as well, because um, any ferocious creature like the lion, tiger, or whatever or jackal can come and attack the goat and kill her. So when she was walking by, was trying to look for some sort of shelter, and the goat found a a, a footprint of a lion. So the goat saw the lion's footprint. Basically, at that moment, the goat took shelter of that footprint and was completely there, as if taking shelter of the footprint. And in between, jackals and wolves and all of them came and started saying, "Hey, goat, what are you doing in this forest? Aren't you fearful of being killed by any of us?" The goat said, "I am not fearful because I have taken shelter of my king, the lion, which is my master." As soon as they heard about this, they all fled. The jackals and wolves fled because the goat very confidently said, "I have taken shelter of my master." And in between, other creatures came, and the goat gave the same answer. Basically said, "I've taken shelter, I've nothing to fear." And in the end, the lion came. And the lion came and said to the goat, "Aren't you fearful? I'm very hungry and I really want to eat you." But at that same moment, the goat said, "My master, I'm not fearful because guarding your I'm guarding your footprint. It is my duty to look after your belongings. And this footprint of yours is very precious. I cannot give it up. I am dedicated in serving this. And I'm very devoted to it." So the lion was surprised. The lion said, "That goat seems to be very devoted. I mean, I'm surprised." And eventually, the way the goat spoke and glorified the lion and all of that, the lion became very, very pleased. And the lion said, "I'm very, very pleased with you. Ask for a boon. What would you like? What would you like? Tell me. I'm here to satisfy your boon." The goat said, "You know what, my master? I'm so tired. My limbs are very uh, sore, it's painful, and I'm very hungry at the same time, and I forgot my way back to the village. Can you help me with this?" The lion said, "Sure, no problems." Demanded the elephant nearby and said, "Hey, elephant, come here. Help this goat get onto your trunk and get enough to get all the leaves to eat." The elephant came, took the goat up on his trunk, and then put him up, and then she was able to eat all these nice leaves on the trees, and said, "Make sure you take her back to the village. Take this goat to the village." So, and that's what happened. The elephant took the goat and safely the goat was able to get to the village and eventually got reunited with the other goats. The moral of the story is basically is that when we take shelter, in this case, a lion, which basically represents the Supreme Lord. When we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then we have nothing to fear. You know, a lot of times we are fearful of what's going to happen with me, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. We work, and then we start fearing. Oh, what if I lose my job? What will happen to this? You know, we have all these fears that's going on in our mind, and we're thinking about so many things that may have not happened, or may not even happen, or may not even happen. But we think of so many things, and by putting all these things in our mind, we unnecessarily meditate all these things, whereas in fact we should be meditating the Supreme Lord. When we are completely meditating, always sheltered, and remember the holy name of the Lord Himself, His pastimes, everything, then we become peaceful. You know, we are the reason why we're not peaceful because we're not remembering Krishna as we're supposed to. So it's important for us to take shelter, and this is why Prabhupada mentions here, and Sukadeva Goswami also mentions that. Sorry, Parikshit Maharaj mentions that we must um, take shelter from spiritual master and get guidance from him, who will help us get out of the cycle of birth and death. You know, we are suffering life after life. The non-devotees, for them, it's like after death, misery is all finished. That's it. They don't realize that life after death, there's always death after life. Sorry, life after death as well. You know, there's always death and life again. You're always getting some sort of um, into some sort of species of life. If we want to make our life successful and not come back again, we have already seen so many difficulties here in the material world. Everyone's suffering. Everyone's have got so many complaints, and no one can say that they are 100% happy. In fact, they may be happy for a short period of time, and after that, life, shows true colors. All sorts of different habits, either bodily, monetary, mental, whatnot. So we all, in some way, they are suffering, and our real cause of suffering is our attachment and a desire to gratify our senses. And that's why the only best way to gratify our senses is by gratifying our senses by seeing Krishna, honoring his prasadam, chanting his holy names. These are the actual food for the soul. We should be. That's why Prabhupada emphasized more on giving prasadam to everyone on Sunday, during Sunday feast when we have devout people come. We sometimes think that sometimes people only come for prasadam. That's fine. But if you don't have prasadam, people don't come. There are some places, some temples, people don't go at all because there's nothing to go for. Apart from, some people have no interest in listening to katha. But by honoring prasadam, by having prasadam over a period of time, their senses will get purified. And it's better for them to come to the temple and have prasadam rather than go out and do takeaways and eat all sorts of nonsense things. So we are very fortunate here. Prabhupada has built this beautiful society, where we get opportunity for people to learn about Krishna consciousness, and so many wonderful devotees are out there doing preaching, attracting people to the lotus feet of Krishna. I know the brahmacharis here, they do wonderful service, being out on the street, doing book distribution. And I'm sure when you speak to people, you don't give all this high-level stuff. You all do is simple, straightforward things that they will understand, that will be easy for them to grasp, isn't it? So that's what we're supposed to be doing to start off with is when we're preaching. And our goal is we are a preaching movement, so we are supposed to preach. It's not about just making our life successful, but our goal is to make others' lives successful as well. We have seen, we've understood the knowledge, and we should try to help others get the same knowledge as well. It's better to be full of knowledge than being ignorant. Just like, for example, sometimes the buffalo is analogy is given here. Buffalo is dark, and if you say, "Oh, buffalo, you are dark, you are black," the buffalo doesn't care. It doesn't really react. And in the same way, an intelligent, self-realized person would not ever get unaffected in any situation, whether it's good or bad. Anyone says harsh things to them or good things to them, they don't really care. But the difference between the two is that the buffalo is in the mode of ignorance, whereas the devotee is in the mode of is full of knowledge. The buffalo is ignorant, and the devotee is self-realized, full of knowledge. So our goal is to preach, and this is what Prabhupada wanted us to do. I'll end up over here. Anyone's got any points they want to share, comments, questions? Yes, Prabhu.
So in preaching, actually in any activity, nobody is working without some tinge of self-interest.
Self-interest is in what sense?
There's always something to think about. You're doing it for Krishna's pleasure, but there's also some self.
As long as it's dovetailed in service of Krishna, obviously there will be, you can't completely become free from any sort of self-interest. There will be some self-interest there, but that has to be, and of course, in the service of Krishna, with mind thinking that this is for Krishna. And the best way is to overcome any personal, any sort of sense of issues by associating with the devotees is very important, and by taking the Lord's holy names of Shadam. That's the only way we'll get purified. But other than that, did anyone else want to add to that? Anyone? Does it make sense? I mean, we all have some sort of self-interest. Everyone does something, right? If we, for example, I'm working. I work because at the end of the day, I've got some responsibilities. I've got to make some money to be able to pay my mortgage, to pay my bills, and which we can't avoid. No one's give you any money. You got to maintain yourself. So there has to be some there, but yes, you're right. Actually, there are sometimes there are some personal levels. At some personal level, you might get some sort of personal interest. What would you do? What would you recommend? If you were to talk to someone who's completely new on this topic, what would you say? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, most important thing is it's not sinful activity. It's not any of those systems like sense gratification in the sense of that involves sin. That is what we need to avoid. We must guard that, is completely not do that. Like you may come across, for example, I'm sure you've like for example, if someone is doing preaching and it's natural for a man when they see a beautiful girl, for example, natural for that person to get attracted to that person. But the goal is that, of course, you don't want to go into the going extra mile to go and satisfy your senses by approaching the girl and engage in some sort of nonsense activity. But you can also say, wow, such a beautiful person. Krishna is so great. I mean, Krishna's creation is so wonderful. I really appreciate how Krishna can create so many wonderful people. Such a beauty. If that person has such beauty, what to speak of Krishna? Yeah. Just like there was in South India, there was a acharya called Annamacharya. Annamacharya was actually an incarnation of the Lord's sword, Kharga. He came for the purpose of spreading kirtan, glorifying the Lord through local language, which is in Telugu language. So in the early days, he was married to 2 girls, both sisters, and he could not take his eyes off. It was just similar to another story of Ramanujacharya's disciple. he could not get his eyes off. And to get the and he was so attracted to the two girls, so beautiful that he could not forget them, like could not stay without them. So the Lord personally appeared as a sadhu, and basically, when the girls would walk, he would face them, like he would have his back. They would walk backwards, but see the two women, the two wives. And in this way, one day, the Lord appeared, and he basically bumped into this person, and this person kind of fell down, and then he said, "What? Why are you walking backwards?" And then said, "Ah, because I cannot take my eyes off my beautiful wife. It's so beautiful." Then the sadhu said, "What if I show you something more beautiful than that? Someone who has got more beautiful eyes." And he said, "No, there cannot be any more beautiful eyes than my wife's. They're the best. What if I show you?" And he said, "Okay." Then he took him to the temple, and then there he prayed to the Lord to show his beautiful eyes. And the lights were so nicely lit, the candles, I mean the diyas and everything. And then when he saw the Lord's face, he was mesmerized. Oh wow, I've never seen. And after that, he forgot all the beauty about his wife, and was so attracted to the beauty of the Lord. And then he realized that the Lord is so wonderful that if if the actual material creation of the Lord is so beautiful, then what does speak the Lord himself when I see? That makes sense. So we have to kind of always appreciate in that sense, and always try to bring about, okay, well, when some sort of thoughts come in our mind, we can sort of say, okay, well, how can I turn it around and say uh, in a positive way that doesn't affect us? You all right? Yes, Baru.
Regards to noticing this main demographic, I imagine that the temple is the continuum. How do you deal with
What are the things that they value that you can help use against, I mean, towards encouraging them? I think one of the things you could actually use is, oh wow, you come from a very beautiful culture. You know, you glorify the culture that they come from. And of course, they had not followed that culture, but you glorify that culture, such a wonderful culture. You know, such a beautiful, wonderful knowledge in the Vedic scriptures, and you know everything. In that way, you also make them feel that yes, actually, the culture is very beautiful, and I'm actually not following that culture. And in that way, they will somehow or the other take it out. Like one of the, I think previous Sunday, not Sunday, the Sunday that passed, one before that, I was giving a class on Sunday feast, and I was supposed to speak on a topic, but I saw the crowd and I thought, okay, I changed the topic completely on the importance of reading Bhagavad Gita and the culture that they come from, because majority, pretty much everyone is Hindus, Indians. So I appeal to them that you must read the Bhagavad Gita. It's, you know, it's, if you don't read, then who's going to read? You know, it's not there for you to just store it and wrap it in a red cloth and put it in your own temple. No, it's for you to read. And some of them asked, okay, well, can we read? Do we have to read in a certain time, or um, uh, if we are not clean, then what? I said, well, it doesn't matter. you make an effort to read Bhagavad Gita. By reading, you'll get purified yourself. And then it appealed to them. I said, even the same is with the holy name. The holy name will not get impure, but rather purify you. Yes, you should take it up. And you are very fortunate that you're born in this body coming from that culture. So for you, it's easy for you to grasp. You know. And that way, a couple of people actually bought Bhagavad Gita that day. And in fact, when I made them feel a bit guilty that, there was a survey that was done that about 45% of Muslims, they believed in the Quran and whatever was in the Quran was true. And about 35% of Christians, they followed the Bible and, they followed what it was there was true. But when it came to the Hindus, I asked them, I said, you know what, how many percent of people? Less than 1%. Less than 1% of Hindus read the scriptures. And I said, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Not, I'm saying that way, but, kind of made them feel that guilty in a way too, that if you don't read, who's going to read? If you don't teach your children, then there'll be dark times ahead. So if you want your children to look after you, treat you well, then you got to give them the knowledge, the samskara, the values that you want them. You want them to. I said the life is not about making money, which is the very thing at the moment. Indians are very much focused on making money. Their first priority is make money, education, become a doctor, engineer, and make big money. The more money you make, the more sense gratification you can do. Then you can have big house, you can have beautiful wife, you can have Mercedes cars, whatnot. Enjoy even further. So is that what life is supposed to be? No. And then they should realize that yes, actually, our priority, when compared to other religions, is way less. So you could possibly use this kinds of things, glorify this. That's the culture they come from, and then make them feel that if you don't, who's going to do it? Does it make sense? Yes.
Fairly common. Well, we'd like to encourage them to this sort of thing. How do you deal with it?
First of all, we must never criticize the other. The moment we criticize what they're following, they will basically shut themselves. I've realized it myself. I've experienced myself. You don't criticize whatever they're following, but you try to give them, why don't you try this as for some time? Or, it's the same thing, but this is higher. Or, something that will allure them to take it up and practice or do something, and you say, but yeah, never criticize whatever they're following, because that will basically they say, okay, well, I'm following you guys are always anti this, anti that, and they will never want to listen to you. You will shut them up. So use things that will make them favorable. Invite them to programs, give them prasadam, make them feel you care for them. And by showing that love, you can definitely bind people, right? If you speak to someone so nicely, that person will be compelled to listen to you. Bound to listen to you. But if you speak with that person harshly, that person feels, no, I don't want to listen to this guy. You know, you show your genuine care for that person. You do whatever you need to do to give them prasadam, make them feel comfortable, happy, and invite them to programs, all these things. In that way, that will definitely change things. Yeah, but definitely never criticize whether that's whatever they're following. Make sense?
Luckily,
A lot of times, yes, there are people who take guru, accept guru, and some of them think that you cannot have more than one guru. Once you take shelter of someone, that's it. You cannot. But then we also can explain to them, no, it's not necessarily that you cannot have more than one guru. Like when we see the story of Dattatreya. Dattatreya had 24 gurus, right? Each one you learn something, but you explain to them that the guru must be Acharya Veda Sampanno Vishnu Bhakta Vimatsaraha. Acharya must be Vishnu Bhakta. It must be knower of knowledge of Vedas. Sat Sampradaya Sampanno must be coming from a disciplined succession. So explain all these things that, yes, fine, you can have your guru, but you also can take up a higher guru, a guru who is given more better knowledge. Doesn't mean you disregard what in that way the person will uh, feel a bit comfortable. You tell them, no, 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 you don't follow this. You just kick this person out, and you just have to accept it. And now I accept. Because particularly the Indians, these things are very sentimental value. They have this fear that you can have more than one. You know, a lot of times it's fear based. If I do this, I'm going to have this. So if they say they feel that if I give my current guru, then I'll have all these problems in my life, which I can't afford to have. That's what generally a lot of times that's what it is. But they don't realize that. But if we give them, say, no, you don't have to. Just whatever you're doing is fine. But you engage in this as well. How about that? And give it a try. How about that? Try for 3 months. You don't get any joy, get any success out of it. You cannot, I cannot tell you the taste of something unless you try it yourself. You have to explain in such a way. There's no harm in reading. There's no harm in finding out. Maybe you might find something. You might find something out of it. Like for example, sometimes Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door, and they say, "No, I've got something that I want to share with you." I said, "Yeah, good." They give me the watchtower. I said, maybe I might be able to pick something out of it. Maybe I might learn something of that will help me in my preaching to the Christians. But I don't say, no, I don't like this. Don't go away. This is not what I follow. If they try to convince you to, I said, I'm happy with what I'm following. I'm got my scriptures, but I definitely will get some knowledge out of it. Thank you so much. We should never ill-treat anyone. We should always appreciate. If we show our compassion, our love for that person will definitely change. Can change. And of course, you must have all been through that phase. And how did you become a devotee, right? Someone must have treated you well, looked after you, cared for you, and this is why you're still around here, isn't it? It's all about how you say. Vacha is the most important thing. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. If you say it very nicely, softly, you treat someone very with love, anything can happen. Just like, for example, if you're married, right? If a husband scolds at the wife and says harsh words to the wife will never want to listen and just, I don't care, and just shut herself out. But if the husband says, my dear wife, I really love you so much. You're so wonderful. I really love what you do, how you cook, how you serve the ladies, and so forth. I really love, And that in that way, she feels motivated even further to do things. But if you start complaining, oh, there's not enough salt in the prasadam or this or spice is not there, what? Then it's okay, well, you just cook it yourself. Isn't it? So as husbands, and I mean as people, we should stop complaining. We should always start seeing the positive things out of everything. If you see positive in everyone, the outcome will be positive. If you see negative, then the outcome will be. Make sense? Any further questions? You look a bit. You want to ask something? Talk, share something? Huh?
Very satisfied.
But do you want any? You got any comments you want to share? You got a lot of knowledge and experience in this field that you want to share. Yeah.
We are Westernized.
The same thing. If a Westerner would preach to the Indians will be more accepting because they feel as if, oh, this Western person is preaching to me. Whereas an Indian person is preaching to Indians, and okay, I know what you're talking about. They'll be less receptive. I don't know why, but it's just because someone who is following their culture and not from their culture, they feel more compelled to listen to that person. If an Indian, say for example, Pandit or whatever, speak, they will just hear from here, take it up from here, that's it. For them, ultimately the key is prasadam. When's the food? Yeah. They don't even care. So it definitely makes a lot of difference when you do your preaching. I mean, I'm really amazed how wonderfully you guys are preaching and community and bringing people to Srila Prabhupada, Krishna. So all glories to you all. All right, we'll end here. Granth Rashman Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. You're much more qualified than I'm not. Nothing. Some of them practice.